Hi everyone, my name is Cosby. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to have this sharing section with all of you. I know all of you are visual communication students. I used to study something similar to all of you, and I was a designer for my first 12 or 13 years of working experience. But right now I work in a bank. So it may be quite different from some of the other guest speaker that you have listened to. But I hope my experience can give you a different kind of perspective of what your career could be, because there's a lot of choice and a lot of opportunity out there. So let me give you some of the information about my background. I study in Hong Kong Baptist University School of Communication. There's an option called digital graphic communications. But anyway, the scope of study is about basically similar to your profession, which is visual communication. Um, but because back then the digital media, uh, the trend is just rising up, so they introduced this digital graphic communication course just to catch up with the trend. So it include printed design, typography, and what else? Web design, interactive designs like game, and also animation, and of course, including 3D animation. So this was my background, and then after working for almost 10 years, I would like to add more value to my career. So I decided to go to London to finish my master degree in creative and cultural entrepreneurships. So basically, it's about a bunch of creative people. So my classmate comprise of designer, writer, dancer, musician, etc., etc. So all of them are like creative people. About how they can start their own business, because creative people uh, used to care about their own self satisfaction more than money. So that's why we need a course to teach them how to start a business, to find out where is the unique selling point. It is quite an interesting experience actually. Yep. So as you can see, this is my career timeline. In the middle yellow rectangular shape is the time where I went to London to finish my master degree. So before I went to London, I started my career as as an intern in London before, in a music and graphic agency. They produce a lot of music video, and also the CD cover of many singers in the UK. So I went there to have an internship for one and a half month, and then I come back and then work in a post-production house, and then I moved to a small POP agency. POP stand for point of purchase. And then at that time, actually, I really want to be a motion graphic designer. That is my love. That's my passions. So even though I'm working in that agency, I still look for a job in other post production house or TV station, basically to get the job about motion graphics. So very luckily, I got a job in Now TV as a motion graphic designer, producing motion graphic for their webcast and also on the digital TV. And then I got a chance to move to TVB. So I joined TVB after that as a visual producer, basically to produce or support any producer in producing the promo for the TV drama or sitcom or reality show, etc., etc. So that was the most fun experience in my career, because I have a chance to work with so many talent and also artists around my age, and my work is on the TV that the whole Hong Kong, all Hong Kong people can see. So this gives me a really, really big self satisfaction. And then I follow my boss to go to ATV because he decided to move. And then I stayed in ATV for 2 years, and then I go to London to study my master. So after I came back from London, I decided to start my design company with two partners. So this company, we took jobs like brand design, movie titles, product package design, product video, etc., etc. So many different kinds of jobs. We run this company for 4 years, I think, and then I decided to leave because the direction of the company is not something that I would like to go for. And then I joined an event agency called Don't Believe in Style. I worked there for 3 months. It's a very good experience, but it was too busy. I remember I do not have a single holiday during these 3 months. So I decided that I cannot take this life anymore. That's where I would like to change my career to a non-design company. I haven't tried to work in a company that is totally different. So that's why this way I want to try something new. And then I try to search on JobsDB what kind of job can I take? And then I type, of course, the skill set, I still type design or graphic design skill, but in terms of industry, I type a lot of different industry, for example, like financial industry, logistic, etc., etc. So just to get a sense of whether other industry also would like to hire designer. So that's where I found this job in DBS. They are hiring a graphic designer, and at the end, I got in the bank, which is a quite interesting experience. Let me tell you, and of course, I work in the bank until now. So in terms of the role in the bank, in the first 3 years, I work in a technology and operation department. During the interview, I talked to the head of technology and operation. He was a very innovative guy. At that time, I think it was the first time I heard about fintech innovation in a bank, because bank for me, it's just a place to put money. I only go to branch when I need to sign some document, and then, for example, change my address. I don't know why I need to go to the branch, and then for the banking, maybe an e-banking platform or a mobile banking, etc. I don't know banking at all. But then when I talk to the head of technology and operation, I understand that uh, the bank is evolving. They would like to include a lot of different technology to transform banking into something that provide a better customer experience to their customer. And the department head think that innovation and design must be hand in hand. It cannot be just the technology, but design also is a very important component. So I think it's very interesting. So that's why I decided to join the bank to see how can I contribute to a bank. The management was quite impressed by my design skill, because there was no such person in the bank before. And so I was quite happy that I can actually contribute to the bank in terms of communication. But I also would like to leverage my skills to help them in terms of innovation. So in 2018, I joined a department called Innovation and Ecosystem. In this department, I am responsible for running a fintech accelerator program, which is basically to bring external fintech startup company, they have this new technology solution bring into the bank, and then to help the business unit to solve their business challenges. So you must ask, how can designer uh, do this kind of things? Because you you are totally not from a banking background. How a design background can help me do a better job in managing this fintech accelerator program is that after many years of training as a designer, I learned how to articulate the root cause of a problem, because usually from business unit they will see many things from their own point of view. For example, they would like to reduce the cost, they would like to get more new customer, so it's all about what they want, but they would rarely think about what the customer wants. So I think this is where a designer can add value, because as a designer we always consider customer point of view. This mindset is really really important. So even though this fintech accelerator program is a really really difficult job for myself, I successfully run the program for 1 year, and then recruit more than like 15 fintech startup to produce 10 experiment in the bank. So I'm quite proud of it actually. And then in this year August, I changed to another department called Group Strategic Marketing and Communication, which means corporate communication. So let me talk a little bit more about corporate communications. So in our bank, there are 5 functions related to that a corporate communication team need to do. The first thing is corporate branding. I think most of you would be more familiar with this term. Basically, it's about personality of a brand. How can we build up the branding we want our audience or our customer to perceive us through content development, I would say. And of course, other element would be like the visual design, such as the logo design and all the whole identity system, etc. Another thing is about corporate social responsibility. Some people could just call it CSR. It's about doing good to the community, giving back to the community through, for example, like volunteering, supporting social enterprise, etc. So the third thing is the internal communication, which means communicate to the staff. How can we communicate all the internal structure or the changes in policy, whether all the staff has received the same message, and then and very clearly understand the leadership vision, etc. So this part is about internal communication. The fourth part is about media relationship and public relations. So basically, it's about the relation with, for example, the newspaper, journalists, etc. So when there's some new products coming out, this function need to talk to the journalists to ask them to come to our press con, and then write about our products, etc. So the last part is about digital marketing. This is really important part. How can we position ourselves in the digital world? So for my role right now, I'm mostly concentrating on corporate branding and also digital marketing. How can we use storytelling to build up our brand image, and then amplifying those stories through digital marketing? How can we optimize the spend? How can we reach to the target audience that we would like to reach? So this is my brief introduction to myself, and I would like to share a few projects that I like um, during the time as I was still a designer, and it's all about branding. This is my portfolio page. So if you're interested, you can go to cosbyfu.myportfolio.com to see my work. So I'm not going to go through all of them. I just would like to highlight a few of them. So the first one is about is my show reel. During the time I was in TVB and ATV, which is 2005 and 2009. It's a composition of the work that I have done before, so you can have high level ideas of what I did um, during that 4 or 5 years. So here you are. So it was quite good to look at my old work. Actually, I haven't watched it for a long time, and so yeah, that is what my job was when I was in TVB and ATV. So as you can see, there's a lot of different style going on throughout the videos, which reflect the truth is that in the TV station, there's a lot of different kind of program with different, for example, historical background. Some are comedy, some are crime program, etc. So there's a different kind of genres that I need to work for. So so here the challenges is as a designer just graduate from school for maybe 3 years. How can I get all the different style out there to help me to do my job? So that's actually very challenging because the most of the time I just got a few days to produce the whole. For example, we call that promo, and then sometimes we got a week if the program is big and we got enough time, but most of the time few days. And I tried one time, it was just one day. I got the order in the morning, I have to deliver at almost the end of the, and then um, and then I remember one time I finished a promo, render it, and then we got it uploaded to the server, and then 2 minutes later it's on TV. So always always have competition with time. So that's why at that time I read a lot of different kind of design books, and not just design books lah, also magazines or references. We always need references. We're not copying it, but would like to understand, for example, how people use different kind of graphics to represent a certain kind of feelings and the mood, because on the TV state on the TV or in the videos, a mood is really important. And another thing is about the color grading. We have to adjust the color to make it, for example, if we want it look brighter, we would try to tune the color more warm. And then if it's a crime scene, of course we would like to make the color more cool light blue, a greenish, something like that. So this is what I learned during these 5 years, to create mood, to choose the right kind of graphic that can represent that kind of genres of the program the most. Um, that is that is challenging and interesting, actually. So if you are interested, you can look at my website as well. So the next project I would like to share is is a revamp exercise for Channel V. So at that time, I think is I already left ATV, and also um, came back from my from study from London. So I had my own design company, and then I was very interested to create channel branding for any TV channel. So because I think, from my belief lah, each channel should have their own tone of voice, and then how could we project this mood or personality of a channel? Of course, the first thing is about the program, the choice of program that a channel would broadcast would definitely reflect their personality. For example, ViuTV, see they choose a very like a competition star making program, and also some really interesting programs. So you feel that ViuTV is more like creative, more local channel, more young channel as well. So the same as this Channel V, at that time they would like to rebrand themselves, because back then their graphic was quite cool that time. But but at that time they would like to rebrand it into a more young, energetic feeling, because they are also except from showing on TV, they're also putting their content on their mobile phone and also the website as well. And back in 2012, it was just the beginning of the web content or web videos trend. So that's why I got the job. And then the challenge is, they in the Channel V, they have a lot of section. For example, this section, 30-minute section, is to show some music video of the international singer, and then some other section is talk about Hong Kong singer, and then other section about Taiwan singer. So we have to create a lot of identity for different section, but at the same time to maintain the same look and feel of the whole channel, to be more vibrant and energetic. So that's the challenge for us. But then I created this branding style, and then this is a very, very short clip, 30 seconds, just to edit or to give you a high level feeling of what the channel looks like after the rebranding exercise. So here you are. Yep. So that is, and you can see we use a lot of geometric shape because I think it's the most simple form used, because we designed that we will have a lot of movement in each identity, in each title. So we do not want something really complicated in terms of graphic, and so that we just use geometric shape like circle, hexagon, square, triangle, and together with some gradient color, um, and of course some contrast of the color to make it more young and energetic. So And we submitted this to this under consideration. There's I think it's a design publisher, and then we kind of won not award, but to be published in a book. So I actually quite happy about this, because it's the first time my work is appear on a design book. So the next project I would like to share with you is the also 2012. We are commissioned by Hong Kong Broadband TV. At that time, they call themselves BBTV. 寬頻香港電視 Hong Kong Television. So before they become Hong Kong Television, they still call Broadband TV. They would like to revamp their news channel into a more modern, and then it's a channel that encourage conversation among people. So so we think about a dialogue. A dialogue bubbles would be quite representative symbol to convey this message. Of course, some would say a dialogue bubble has been used for many times, is very old school, but from my point of view, I would like to use the most easier to understand symbol to allow the audience to understand what we means, because the audience is not it's very simple. They just watch the opening, the title for a few seconds. How can we, if the message is too complicated, then they cannot process in their brain, then they forgot. So we try to use the most obvious symbol to convey this message. So this is the outcome. At that time, we use more 3D animation, some repetition of the dialogue bubbles, and then some motion, and then try to keep it simple. Because usually the TV news channel, they will use a globe, and then a lot of da 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 da, and then there's something like information docked, and then many country and a globe, something like that. So we try not to use that kind of things. We try to use another way, which is more clean, and then got a very strong symbol to represent the brand. So let me see if there's any videos. So these are the rendering of each section. For example, the hot news. But basically, it's the opening of the news channel, and also some templates for promos, some banners, etc. So we try not to make it too TVB or ATV. We try to make it different, and then use of like a different alignment of typography, make it look more tidy and easy to read. And then different colors represent different type of content. For example, yellow stand for sport, and then social stand for the red stand for social, etc. So we also, of course, designed the fonts to be used. I think it's the most difficult part is to persuade the clients to accept this kind of style, because news used to be like what I said, is a globe. Even BBC or ABC, American channel or UK channel, they use the same kind of graphics represent news. So, but we think news can be different. We can use different ways of representations to talk about news. So that's why we designed this identity. So I think that's all for my sharing of my work. Not to share too much. If you're interested, again, please go to my website, cosbyfu.myportfolio.com. I do not have more design work to share. You can see some of the drawings here. I'm going to talk about this in the next section, but please feel free to browse my portfolio if you're interested. One more thing I would like to share with all of you is my new exploration on visual communication. That is something called visual recording or visual facilitations. So not so sure whether some of you have heard about this before. So this basically is about a live drawing in an event or in a meeting, etc., about what the speaker is talking about. So, and then after the meeting, the audience can actually see the visual recording on the wall, or right now virtually, maybe on a screen, that the key points that the speaker just talked about. So in order to recall the memory or have some self-reflection, etc. So this is something quite new to me for these 2 years, that I found that my design, graphic design background, visual communication background can facilitate myself to do a better job in this field. So would like to show you the journey of this. So I first get into this visual recording things. I think 2 years before, there was a Taiwanese visual recorder called Jace. She came to Hong Kong to run the workshop with other 3 visual recorder from China to talk about what is visual recording. So that time, it was the first time I know about this term, and I was so fascinated that because when I was young, I used to like drawing a lot. So I found this amazing that this can be a career. This can be something that can earn money, and also can help the audience to understand more about a meeting or more about a speech, etc. So I found this is something that I would like to explore more. So after this workshop, I kind of learned the little skills of how to listen carefully, of what the key points of the speaker would like to deliver, and then try to visualize it at once. But of course, in the first time, this is the first time, first visual recording job that I had after the workshop. So you can see there's a lot of words on it. I tried to capture everything that the speaker say, and I was so busy. I was so busy listening, and then jot down. It's kind of like real-time note taking. I write down everything. I found myself so busy during the whole section, and I always afraid to miss something important that is not on the paper. So after that, I kind of reflect a little bit. I actually do not need to write down everything the speaker talk about, but I have to listen carefully to what the key message he or she would like to deliver. So in the second class, I didn't write at once when the speaker talks. Instead, I tried to stop a little while, and listen first. So my hand didn't move at all. I just listened. In the first 5 minutes, I just try to listen to what the speaker is talk about. So at that time, I kind of sense all the sentence he or she talks about, they have a key message behind. So this is somewhere I would like to go to. So and then I use this skills or method to carefully listen first and then jot down the key points that I think they're talking about. And if there's any keywords they emphasize, I make sure that it was on the paper, but not the whole sentence. So in this way, I found it more easier when I finish when I draw, and the audience also find it useful that I can help them systematically group all the message and visually consolidate the message, so that they're not looking at an article, but instead they're looking at a graph. They're looking at the visual representation of the content they just listened to. I actually find it really satisfying by doing this. So I kept on practicing this. In other section, I try to draw on a wall, and that's a different experience. Drawing on a wall, you have to practice how your hand is like position, and the text has to be big enough for people to. It's very interesting that you draw on a paper on the table or on a wall. It's so different. If you have time, you can try. And then in other occasion now, I started to join many different events and then to practice my visual recording. For example, this is an event organized by a church that they invite some people to share their personal experience. So I separate them into different colors. One color represents one person, so that they won't look all the same. Throughout the 30 minutes talk for each person, I can just grab 4 to 5 key points, and that's enough actually. You do not need to write down everything. So this experience gives me a lot of practice in listening and then processing in my brain and then outputting in a visual way. Of course, and then after more practice, I got more job because people know me. Yes, I was very nervous, but at the same time, very excited as well. And then I'm very happy to join my first global conference as a visual recorder, I think back in 2018 as well. And at that time, it's my first time to work with a group of facilitator. They're not visual person, but they are facilitator. They facilitate conversation among the leaders in the maritime, for example, logistic industry. People who came to this conference are all a CEO or really managing director, really high rank people. And they, as a facilitator, they try to encourage all people to talk about their own point of view in a respectful way. And then for me, as a visual recorder, to capture what they talk about. So we have meetings, and then we have meetings on site to think about the rundown, and then think about how to, on the right hand side, you can see there's a kind of sphere stuff that we try to visualize all the research or the report about maritime industry on a special setting, so that when people came and the program doesn't start yet, they can look at the research results in a different setting. We're trying to convey something like environmental protection and the threat to the industry, but in a visual way. This you can see someone sitting there on the right hand side inside the hemisphere. He's a German visual recorder, so he drew all of this. And then we also collaborate to draw together on a big wall, because when the visual is at scale, is really big, you give impact to the audience. So that we try to draw all the key points, including the research and also the key points that the speaker on stage talk about on this whiteboard.
So as you can see, the whiteboard is really big. So we need to collaborate, each one to be responsible for one part. Yep. So it was a really fascinating experience that I know that how visual can play a role in the international stage, in a business setting, in a business context. Business is not just sitting in a meeting room and talk about money, etc. They need to. There's a lot of conference out there. There's a lot of, for example, even in banking industry, we have a fintech week. People want to hear other people's point of view about the sharing about the, for example, like technology development, etc. They would like to share the experience with each other, and they will learn from each other, and also to openly talk about their own point of view. So this kind of occasion always happen, always have. So as a visual communication professional like yourself, um, definitely you do not need to draw like myself, but I think in many occasions your skill is really useful for business context. So as I mentioned, I also work in when I was working bank like 2 years ago. I was working for a fintech program called DBS Accelerator. Basically, the it's about innovations. You may be quite curious of what is innovation actually. Why many people talk about innovation? Is it about app or is it about something else? So I think from my point of view, why innovation is so so frequently mentioned in recent year, because as we can see on the right hand side, I have a graph which is on the axis below is actually I actually write complexity of the world. So the world right now is no longer steady. It's not like unchanged. Maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, everything is expected. Everything is quite quite stable. So actually, you can use one standard or one way of working. Then you can work for many years. For example, your parents can stay in one job for since they graduate, and then until they retire. They can stay in one company for so long time. But right now the world isn't run like that. Right now the changes happen so quickly. The change accelerate a lot, and then you can see a lot of messy lines over there, because and you even don't know where the change would go to. As is a mess. So with such complexity, um, can we use one standard to solve all the problem? So definitely not. So that's why recent year there's a lot of kind of methodology like agile, uh, design thinking, etc., coming out. That is all about being responsive to what happened to the world. When you develop one solution, you don't just sit there and then say, "Oh, it is good enough." Then we do not need to design something new. We cannot do that right now. Right now, we need to observe every minute what happens in the world. When I release this solution, when I release this design, what is the response giving to us? What is the feedback? And then based on the feedback, we need to fine tune, or we need to improve, we need to amend the current solutions in order to catch up with the change. So given the change keep accelerating, this process will happen all the time and non-stop. You won't you won't be able to decide one thing and then stay there for 10 years. No longer like that. So that's why this is the spirit of innovation, that you need to catch up with the speed. You need to be very sensitive to the change, and then you need to observe the change, what is the change, and then act according to that changes. So I think this is a challenge for the older generation, because they do not use to, or even for myself, they don't use to that kind of speed of change. So I think what's good news for you guys is you guys live in a really fast changing time, that, for example, on a mobile phone, every day there's a news. When there's some trend coming out, maybe 1 to 2 day it already died down. So you guys may be more suitable, or you guys may be more adaptable to this speed of change. So I think you will understand what innovation means, and in terms of the attitude of work, uh, how what would you expect in the workplace, when you, after you graduate from the school, you will expect high speed, you expect things keep changing. There may be no single standard anymore. um, as you can see, all those startup company, they change so fast. They may not have a rules that is correct from the day one. The rule may change a lot, so this is something you need to adapt to it. So this is innovation. And then you will think about why designer is needed for innovation. Why not just business people? Why not just engineering people, etc.? Why designer? After working in banking for 5 years, I think I have some observation that some competence that a designer have is actually really needed for innovation. So the first one is the problem solving. So I guess all of you would know, a designer is a problem solver. They, whenever, for example, especially product design, when you design a product, is to serve a sort of functions. This problem solving mindset is already there for the designer, and the innovation need this because it's practical. It's not, you are not designing something just for looking good. But of course, if the problem is this place is ugly and that make me feel bad, then of course make things beautiful. You are solving the problem. So the next thing is about the user centric. As a designer myself, I'm not an artist, but I'm more a business designer point of view. I'm very user centric. I care about what the feedback from the user, what they think about whether this solution is good for them or not. If not good enough, what can be improved. We need to think from their point of view. So in other words, it's called empathy. I think this would always happen in the design thinking uh, uh, methodology, or mindset, to put yourself into others' shoes, to feel, if you are that person, if you are the user, what would you think when you're using this service, or look at this poster? What do they think? What do they feel? This is also very unique competence in designers. Not everyone in the business world can do this, because people tend to care about themselves more than the user. They care about the business result. They care about money. They care about whether they have enough customer or not, or the numbers, etc. But at the end of the day, if you can give the user what they want, then the business would come. So I think this is a very very, very simple relationship. So user centric is really a strength of designer. So another thing is about the visual articulations. In innovation, an open and clear communication is really important. That's why, as I mentioned before, we have something called agile methodology, which means we do not have meetings like 1 month after the last meeting. Instead, we check in for very short time for the project team, maybe five minutes every day, to check in. How is it doing? Is there any roadblock that refrain you from doing something? So, and then with this small check-in, you guys will set up a really clear communication channel, so you know what happens every day. So for articulations, for this kind of communication, I think we really need to use visual way to make the communication easier. You may not need to draw that, but at least you need to use a post-it to write down what has been talked about. Now, because just conversation, there's a lot of misunderstanding. So as a designer, we have this visual articulation skill. So when people talk about beautiful, you can say, what is beautiful? What is your definition of beautiful? Is it a butterfly or is it something else? So you can very easily draw that, and then or even if not draw that, write that down. It's beautiful, the definition. Then people can think about, oh yeah, maybe our definition is different. So this is just one example, but there's a lot of opportunity that can you make use of your visual skills, uh, even in a meetings. Try, if you have opportunity to lead a meeting or to facilitate a meeting, try not to just use conversation. Try to write down or draw what the people are talking about in the room. Then you will see the magic coming in is that, okay, there's a lot of misunderstanding or a lot of different definition of something. So this is something that I think a designer is really good at. It's about communication. So the last thing is about challenge the status quo, which is I think all designer would have, which is we see something. For example, we see a mouse right now, and then we will think, oh, how to improve it, how to make it more user friendly. How can I make it when I hold it, it can be more comfortable, so my hand won't like paralyzed, etc. So this kind of curiosity is a very important competence of a designer as well, which is very, very needed for innovation, because this is how you keep yourself improving. When you see something, you would you have this curiosity to think about whether it can be better, or it can be more beautiful, or it can be more functional. All this, what a designer can contribute to innovation, to not just for the banking industry. All industry need this innovation going on. Otherwise, we cannot catch up with the speed of change. So, so I'm very happy that you choose the right subject, which is about design. I believe that a visual designer, at least you have this visual articulation skills that can help the people understand the context more, or help the people with less misunderstanding. That already contribute a lot in the business world. In terms of job, so what something you can consider is a UX designer or UX researcher, or a UI designer. UI UX basically is kind of something different. I think you may already learn about that. The third thing is about the visual facilitator and recording. So just like what I did before, you may not need to treat it as a full-time job, but this is some skill that you can definitely use whatever job you are doing right now. So, and the fourth thing I think about is the digital marketing specialist. It's about something like performance marketing. That part the course may not teach you, but I think it's not difficult to learn as well. The most important thing is about the content, because in the digital marketing world, the relevancy of the content is the most important things, because no matter how much you spend to put your advertisement on social media, if people doesn't found it relevant to them, Even if they see them, they will just scroll away in 1 second. So if you need to produce something relevant to the target audience, this is where visual communication come in. Um, you clearly know who your target audience are. So you will need to decide what kind of content that is particularly attractive to this group of people, what kind of color you should use, maybe music or maybe a photo, etc. So, or big text or big fonts at the first second maybe. So I think this is about content creation, storytelling. This part, I think a visual communication student is very good at. So you may also think about the digital marketing specialist. I think all this job is something that I can think about at once when I think about innovation. This kind of job are all a possible path for a visual communication student. So you may think about, you need not to join a design house or production house, but if you join, for example, like banking, property development company, logistic company, a hospital, etc., etc., they all need this. They all need these people. So you actually have plenty of choices. So I think that's all for my sharing. Thank you very much for your watching. I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye.